welcome to the Miami County Fairgrounds. Welcome to Paraunity 2. And welcome to the first show of the 13th Dimension. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy York. This is Scott Wilson right here. This is a very special edition of the 13th Dimension. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this special that we got going on here, our first podcast ever.
Thank you guys so much.
Hi, everybody. This is Jeremy York, and this is Scott Wilson right here. Welcome to the first ever 13th Dimension.
How's everybody doing today, man? I hope you guys are excited as we are.
Yes,
we're live.
So excited. We are live. Peru, Indiana.
Miami County Fairgrounds, 4-H Fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And we are at Paraunity 2, an event that was created last year by local investigators, and we were fortunate to have been invited for this last year. And now here we are again, and this time we have been asked to do a very special interview with a team from the Netherlands called the Ravens Paranormal. And we are very excited for them. We got them lined up here. So basically, the 13th Dimension, the episodic series is actually going to start out on October the 2nd, Friday night from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And it's going to be special. It's going to be different. It's going to be special, and we are so excited.
Dude, I am so excited about this. I could not be any more excited. Besides the topics we're covering, the guests we're going to have, these people have no idea how this podcast is going to be.
And today's topic here is going to be the dangers of new investigators not knowing what they're doing. And this is something that the Ravens Paranormal from the Netherlands actually wanted to cover today. But we're going to be bringing them on here in just a minute. And we will, first of all, have them introduce themselves, talk about how they got together, what they do, and their experiences. And then we'll just dive right into the topic.
Absolutely.
Are you able to add them in?
What's that?
Are you able to add them?
Add you guys?
No, add the river.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was one of our people, Tim. He was asking us if we'd be able to add the Ravens Paranormal, and we're going to be able to. In fact, we are going to go ahead and do that now. So, hello,
Ravens Paranormal. How you guys doing?
Very good, very good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
We're having a wonderful time.
It's a small screen.
It is.
I know.
Yeah, there we are.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, everybody now.
Small screen for a small guy.
Yeah, he's a real big guy right here.
It's specially made for Scott.
It is. Except I got my booster seat today, and I'm kind of disappointed in that.
He did. It's in the back of Tim's truck. And I'm not lying. They actually showed me the booster seat.
Hey, you got to be able to look out the window sometimes when you're in a Mustang. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I sat down in that Mustang, and oh my, that was a drop for me.
It's a low drop. So when you're 5'1", yeah, you're not seeing much of the scenery.
Yeah. So how you guys doing today?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah, so tell us a little about yourself. How did you guys get together? How did you form this group?
Well, the idea came from me. I'm looking at this guy because he's my wife, and if I say something wrong, she'll kill me later. No. The idea came from me originally, and back then we were just friends, very good friends, actually. And I asked her if she wanted to join a paranormal investigators group to investigate places that were being investigated at the time and help people who have seen a lot of encounters um,
But afraid to
but
speak.
afraid to say anything because they were put away as crazy and all that kind of things. And well, she happily wanted to join me, and back then I was with my ex, and she joined in also. Um, that didn't work out, so the two of us stayed together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, after a year, I think I fell in love
Yeah.
again.
That's how it started. The Ravens football year.
Yeah, and then the Ravens started completely, and we got together too.
Yeah.
And we
And
got
then this
married.
and then this year we got the woman
Yeah,
girl.
and this year, Priscilla joined us.
I joined like 3 months ago after we met on Facebook.
Yeah,
We had Ghost Poker in the Netherlands on yeah,
investigation. No,
no,
investigation
Discovery
discovery.
Investigation channel, and they asked if we knew a haunted place to put that on the website of Ghost Poker, so other people could yeah see the location or visit or whatever. And I put a story on the site about my house because I think it was a graveyard and my house is very haunted. Very cool, by the way. And I got a messenger from Shane, and he asked if he could see my house and do an investigation. So yeah, we met
Yeah,
on your wedding day. Yep.
yeah.
That was the first day I saw them in real life, and then I did the uh, schooling with Samantha about stones,
Yeah.
the
Crystals.
yeah, the crystals, and then we went to a graveyard
Yeah.
here on an investigation because I wanted to see how things go, and then you came to my house.
Yeah, we
What?
can
Yeah, and then he asked me, "Do you want to join?" And I said, "Yes, I want, please, yes." So yeah, I'm the newbie.
Yeah, the fun thing is she's very excited about the whole paranormal field,
Yeah.
and we really like to see that in new members or people that we meet because I do think you absolutely need a good enthusiasm to do this and be interested in the history of the place is really fun.
Absolutely. Getting into paranormal for the first time is always exciting, and you're always eager to get out there and learn new stuff. So, uh,
Yeah.
what was your guys' big influences coming into a paranormal field? Do you have any?
Yeah, for me it started when I was really, really young. I was about 12 to 13 when I see spirits walking around my house. My mom is, well, she has prophetic dreams, so for her it wasn't that weird that I could see spirits. And my sister as well, she could see spirits the way we see each other, so she couldn't tell the difference between death or life. And so I had to help her to assess, all right, this is death, this is alive. This is the difference between those two. Because I was so busy with my sister, I could see it myself or sense it very, very, very close. And some experiences, taking overs, demonic entities that bump into you or yeah, gives you actual nightmares. So yeah, that's how it actually started for me.
For me, I noticed when I was very young, I could sense spirits and like cool winds without the windows being open and all that kind of things. Um, one day I saw cat eyes. My brother saw them also, and I thought I was crazy. I thought I was really going crazy. And then afterwards, my brother said the exact same thing. He saw cat eyes on home, and I was like, okay, I wasn't crazy at all. I did see something. And that's when I met Sam, and we talked about it, and it was like more natural.
Yeah,
She believed everything I said, and she's the only person I trust.
yeah,
Completely.
yeah. That's it. I was 10 years old and was in the house of my parents. They were still together then. and I was home alone, and I was on the top floor, and out of nowhere, I heard someone coughing, but I was the only one at home, so I was like, what the? And the next day I went to school, and before I went to school, I said, okay, if you're really here, mess up my room. Do something and let me know that you're here. So I locked my bedroom door, and when I came home from school, my room was a mess. So I had to clean it up. That was unfortunate, but it was a real mess. I was like, okay, so there's more. And it never scared me, but you just had a feeling, okay, I'm not alone. And then my parents broke up, and my mom moved to another house, and she's still living with me. And my bedroom was above a door, and at night I could always hear the door open and close, and someone walking up the stairs. So one day I said to my mom, okay, mom, I need to talk. I hear this and that. And she said, okay, it's cool, honey. No problem. I hear it too. You're not alone. You're not crazy. Something is happening. She said, and yeah, since then I keep feeling things, hearing things, and yeah, that's part of the life.
That is just outstanding. So how is it being able to go into different places? Because I know sometimes for us it can be a little difficult sometimes.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys, let's say for example, if you guys have to go to a cemetery, do you have to call somebody to get the okay, or do you have to call the police and find out if it let them know that what you're doing? Because I know over here we do get a lot of vandalism on our headstones, and sometimes they kick them down, break them, spray paint them. Do you guys have that kind of issue over there?
Um,
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, I think everywhere they do that everywhere, like countless people. But there's a couple of graveyards that are open, and it's in little villages. Uh, in big cities, they're almost never open, so we have to go either to the police or to
Yeah,
the city hall.
yeah,
Yeah, city hall.
or to church to ask
That's the key.
yeah.
And then you have to, of course, explain what you're going to do. Here in the Netherlands, they're kind of hard by letting you go and investigate if if it's haunted or not.
Well, for example, we went to a castle 2 weeks ago, and I had a children with me. Uh, as everybody I think knows in paranormal field, children are very, very prone to seeing things that are not supposed to be there. And we were in the castle, and my son was really interested in a crib. That crib was about 500 years old, if not older. He heard a baby crying, and he told me, "I hear a little boy or a little girl crying." And he has a little sister. It was like, "Is Aurora crying?" I was like, "No, that's not your sister." And if we want to go and investigate there, I have to write a page-long letter and then still get a no, because it's incredibly hard to get into classes, or even the how you call it. In America, it's widely known that there is more between here and heaven. In the Netherlands, it's really hard to get through that very hard shell of saying there is more than just us.
It's more like, oh, you're nuts.
Yeah, it's like immediately when you have an experience here or you see stuff flying around the room, it's like, oh, you're crazy. You have a psychotic episode. You're not. And so it's really, really hard here in the Netherlands to get in those really big buildings. We do have bunkers that we can get into because they're most of the time open, but still then you have to ask permission. Those are a bit better because I'm very
Yeah,
happy because that's World War II and I'm a history nut, so that's always fun. But it's nice to go into castle sometimes.
yeah, but of course we have a connection with the bunker, with the person that is working for them, and he always says, "Well, you want to go there, you can go there, no problem. Just send me an app and
Yeah,
you can go there."
The Netherlands is really hard to get.
But the other things, no, we're not gonna get anywhere.
No, because they like to invest high fees as well. So, oh, you want to investigate? That's okay, but you have to pay like 600 euros for one night. I'm like, 600 euros for 3 hours to investigate? I'm sorry, I'd rather feed my kids than pay you 600.
So when you guys are going out to do an investigation, uh, some places have dangers. Do you guys go out and inspect everything before you start going in to watch out for the dangers?
Yeah, yeah, we almost always go during the day. We have to figure everything out around the pitch, but most of the time we go during the day,
Yeah.
check the building out, to check everything out, if everything's safe, if there's no asbestos or mold or whatever. And before we enter the building or start our investigation, we check the building for people being in there, junkies, all that kinds of things.
And about the rules?
Yeah, we have rules. We will not wander off. We will stay together, and if we wander off, we will take a walkie-talkie so we can communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Because we always turn off our phones because of the contamination. We don't want that. Yeah, so we always have rules. Do not wander off. Stay together as much as possible. And if we do wander off, we take a walkie-talkie so we can communicate with each other.
Yeah, especially in forests, we do have
Yeah.
a lot of forests
Yeah.
that are quite dense. And if you do wander off because you're actually chasing a spirit or the spirit is leading you somewhere, then you have to take a walkie-talkie with you and always watch each other. If
Yeah.
you see one going, go after it.
Yes, they yell for each other
Yeah.
if needed.
It's very important
So,
to
yeah.
stay safe.
Yeah.
But also about the rules from the city. You have to investigate
Yeah.
before you go there if the city is okay with you going there. And you don't want to be in a big investigation like stuff happening and all of a sudden a flashlight in your face like what are you doing here? So yeah.
Yeah, we went once during a hunting season. That was not a good idea.
When you start hearing gunshots, something's wrong. You better go back to the car.
Then you have to leave.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up there a minute ago about the communications with the team members because I know there are quite a few teams, not our team, thankfully, but I do know that there are quite a few teams that don't exactly communicate, what they're going to do, where they're going to do, where they're going to go, and sometimes they just once they get into a building, they just go full on into what they're going to do without actually inspecting anything. Which that is really dangerous because you just never know, like what you've already said with the mold and the asbestos and all of that stuff there, how bad it's going to affect somebody, especially if somebody who might have an allergy to mold. Yeah, because I know that I've had some family members that had real bad allergies to mold specifically. And if you don't go through there to inspect the building, to give it a once over, it can end up being really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we like to go investigate first and do items and really see, okay, is there more other things damaged? How's the construct of the building? How's the layout? So yeah. First go in daylight and then do the.
Yeah, because you can actually see when Shane was with another group before the Ravens Paranormal, and they went into a building that the ceiling just collapsed almost on top of them because they didn't go by daylight; they only go by night. So they couldn't see that the ceiling was bad. So those kind of things are just dangerous. What if you're going alone inside a building and the floor gives in? Then you're screwed. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's going to find you. It's dangerous to go alone.
Yeah.
So always tell where you're going and always watch each other's backs. Always.
Yeah.
So, by all means, Richard, I love you.
Okay. So another thing I would like to ask you guys about, do you guys think about the mental dangers of an investigation?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
almost always, because we had a team member before, and yeah, he was bothered by things around him, and it had nothing to do with spirits or anything. He was just mentally not right at the moment, and he still wanted to go on a ghost hunt. I already told him, just don't do it, because it can affect you in multiple ways, and it can bring a lot of danger with it. You can be possessed, you can be take something with you at home, and just have a lot of shit on home side. Especially because she has a wife, and she's at home, and she doesn't want anything to do with it. So I told him, just don't. When you're not feeling right, just don't go. If I don't feel right, I'm not going. If she doesn't feel right or she doesn't feel right, we're not going.
Yeah.
So yeah, we always pay attention to mental
Health. Yeah.
health and
Yeah.
being stable.
Yeah. Well, we sometimes take guests with us to go into an investigation. We kind of have a thing on Facebook as well. If you have a haunted location that you would like to investigate, then we all go. But if we do find out that the person is mentally not completely stable or is using drugs or is an alcoholic, then we most of the time don't take them with us because it's dangerous. When you use drugs or alcohol, your mindset goes completely open. There is no break in those barriers anymore. And everything can get inside of you or get attached to you. So that's a very dangerous thing as well. That's the reason why especially we don't use drugs nor alcohol.
and that was in the beginning one of my biggest fears. I do like to watch the shows on the TV, like Zack Bagans, but you don't see everything. So I was like, okay, but what if something attaches himself to me? What then? What am I going to do? I have two small children at home, and I don't want to bring them in danger. And yeah, we talked about it a lot, and what to do before you go on an investigation. And check yourself. How do you feel? Do you feel okay? Do you feel safe? Do you feel connected to the earth, or are you up there? Because then you don't have to go out there, uh, and attachment can always happen. Yeah, some spirits are just like, oh, I like you, I go with that. You too. So I asked them, okay, if that happens, can you help me? Because I don't know what to do then. And yeah, that's why I joined them, because they said they assured me that they can help me and keep me safe. So yeah, check yourself.
So protecting yourself is a huge way. So is there anything you guys do before investigation? Do you have prayer before you go? A lot of teams use sage to help protect themselves and something kind of attached to them. Is that something you guys do as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the witch of the group. I've been a high priest for about 18 years. I've been doing it now. So before we go into an investigation, I already am busy with taking certain crystals with me, like onyx or I don't know the English word for it, labradorite. Yeah, I don't know the English word for it. I'm sorry.
Black stone.
Yeah. Or I use sage a lot, or cinnamon. Cinnamon is also something that is working pretty good against negative energies. So I always take that with me. How about you?
Well, I let you protect me.
Same here. I have you for that.
She protects all of us.
Yeah.
'Cause I always get. That's why I say I can fully trust her with well, not 100, but 1,000%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have to worry about anything.
Uh, so being a new team, when I was new, and you get into investigations, you kind of get. For me, I got dumb, and there was times I would try to provoke a spirit. And now that I more, I know it's kind of dumb. Don't be provoking. So, is that something you guys believe in as well? I mean, what do you guys' view on provoking spirits?
Well, we always go with utmost respect for all spirits, unless you're a bully, because I hate bullies, living and dead. And
Yeah.
I've been bullied a lot, so I'll always try to. When we know it's a bully, I will provoke it personally. Sam doesn't believe in provoking. 'Cause
Yeah,
he's-
actually I do,
Oh, you do?
but I provoke the more negative entities because I have a very big issue with entities that are bullying small children or scratching them, picking them up, making them sick, taking over the children. We've had as well here in the Netherlands, and that just really pisses me off. You just don't touch children. If you're alive or dead, it doesn't matter. You just don't touch children, so it really pisses me off. And then I do get a little bit more of a
Provocative.
yeah, more provoking than I normally would. But otherwise, I'll always be respectful to
Yeah.
all entities. Yeah. Do you?
No, I'm still a newbie, so
She ain't doing nothing.
I ain't doing nothing. No provoking here. I let Shane do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't answer to me.
No, because my first investigation, I had like I don't know what was it?
You had an entity that was quite kind of provocative towards us.
Yeah.
Like
wanted to
if you
hit
wanna
right?
if you wanna step one more step, I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah, he was kind of calling me out like, come here, come here. But if you come too close, I will do something to you. And I was like, I don't want to, Shane. I don't want to. He's like, no, go, go, go. I will help. I will help. I'm like, no, you go. And he scared the living shit out of me, that entity, because I don't know what happened, but some scream or something came out of the spirit box. And I was like, okay, no, no, I'm out. That's wrong. That was my first investigation. Really cool, but I was like, nope, it's done. We're going.
And ever since then, she is addicted to paranormal investigations.
Yeah, so it's your fault.
No, it's not my fault. It's the entity fault.
Oh, it's Anthony. Girl, let's go back.
Yeah, we actually had a case about a year or so ago. Scott wasn't a part of this one, but it was a couple of different members of my own team, going with the spirit box. And we were actually at a restaurant, and we had a couple of the workers with us that night. And they thought it was all fun and games and everything. But as soon as something started coming through the spirit box and actually activities started to happen, it got real for them. And one of them actually broke down. She was so scared.
Yeah.
She ended up leaving
Yeah.
because she didn't understand what was going on and why it was happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
it happened on the spirit box, and I was like, okay, that's okay. We hear names and we hear things, but that entity, I don't know what it was. It was a scream or it was a really terrible sound, and it scared me so much. I was like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. That's too much.
Plus the fact that if you can't produce evidence for some people, then it's not real. They can keep telling themselves it's not real, it's in my head, it's not real. But as soon as you start up a spirit box and you do get activity, they can't deny it anymore. So
Yeah.
that makes it more scary.
Especially when you have intelligent answers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning you can always deny it. Nah, that's not true. That didn't happen.
That's radio.
But as soon as that spirit box start talking or there's actual activity going on, they can't deny it anymore because they're right there. They can hear it. And I think that is also a switch for people that gets them scared because then they can all of a sudden hear it. They can't deny it anymore.
Like a week ago, we went to the graveyard across from my home. But on that graveyard, my grandparents are buried. So we went to the grave of my grandparents and we started our investigation there. And I had the sprayer box and things were happening. And all of a sudden, I heard the name of my grandfather. I never knew that guy, but I know his name. I know my grandmother's name. And all of a sudden, we heard the name Anthony. When we were doing the investigation at my home, we also heard the name Anthony. I don't know an Anthony. He doesn't know an Anthony, but that was the second time we heard that name.
The same voice too.
Yeah, and the same voice.
Yeah.
After the investigation, my mother called me and she said, the, were you talking about the name Anthony? I was like, yeah, why? She said, well, that was the brother of my father. She said, and he died in Japan in the war. She said, I never knew the guy, but his name was Antonius, but we called him Anthony. She said, so, uh, you're joking. She said, no, really, Anthony. And yeah, that makes it more, I don't know, special, more believable, or more,
Real.
yeah,
More
more
real.
real. It was, yeah, weird.
Echo.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, another question that I want to ask you guys is, almost every team have certain no-nos when it comes to doing investigations. But I know a lot of teams absolutely will have nothing to do with Ouija boards, or there are some teams that will have nothing to do with a case that involves a possible demonic entity. Um, what are some of the no-nos for you guys that you absolutely? What line will you guys absolutely not cross?
I'm gonna put on some light. You talk.
Yeah. Well, first of all, drugs and alcohol are a big no-no at our
Yeah.
place. Also, when you have started some medicine for what kind of health, mental health problem, when you just started it, look, if you're doing that medicine for years and years already,
Yeah, it's very exciting.
then it's fine by me if you know you're mentally stable. But drugs and alcohol are a big no-no. On the other hand, I know how to use a Ouija board, but I'm not ever going to use a Ouija board on an investigation. Purely because you can talk to boards, spirit box. You can talk through EVP. You can talk through an EMF meter by yes or no questions. So I don't have to use a Ouija board to talk to spirits. Plus the fact that if you use it wrongly, you can take a lot of shit with you.
And
And
most of the people are scared of Ouija
yeah,
boards, especially
yeah.
here in the Netherlands as well. They are very scared of Ouija boards.
Yeah.
As soon as you take one inside a house, they immediately turn you out of the house, or they run themselves out of the house. So you immediately draw negative attention to yourself
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
just taking the thing with you.
but that is because we have a lot of like 18 years old who are like, oh, let's go
Yeah.
play a game
Oh, yeah.
with
Oh.
a Witcher board, and they will do it. And
Yeah.
everybody knows someone who did that and ended up with a lot of stuff in the house. So
Or death.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really drawn to an Ouija board, and I really like to do it, but I'm also very scared, and that's also the reason why I won't do it. But on one hand, I'm like, yeah, let's do it, but no, not doing it.
No, we personally know someone who has an uncle that played with a Ouija board,
Yeah.
and that uncle had played with a couple of friends, and one by one they died in a very curious way. So playing with a Ouija board, no, never. Drugs and alcohol during an investigation,
Hell no.
always a no. If I notice another team which we're investigating with, because I can trust my own team, not doing drugs or alcohol. If I investigate with another team and I'll notice that there's alcohol or drugs in the game, I'm completely out of it and I'm going home.
And also a big no-no is like breaking stuff,
Yeah.
breaking
Oh,
and
yeah,
entry.
vandalism, yeah.
Vandalism is also a big
Yeah.
no-no.
Breaking and
Yeah, if the
enters.
door not open, then turn around and go back.
Yeah, we unfortunately do have a lot of teams here in the Netherlands that break open stuff just to get inside.
Yeah.
And it just gives such an incredible bad name to actual professional investigators. Because that's also a reason why the Netherlands is very hard to give permission to go inside buildings or stuff like that because of the vandalism, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very awesome. We actually have a question from Brent and Emma, who's over in England, and they're curious what your best piece of evidence that you guys have gotten.
Oh, well, my best piece of evidence is a Class A EVP of a little boy who asked me who I was on the graveyard in my birth town. Yeah, it's hard to translate, but the fact that he asked me who I was, gave me goosebumps, and it was definitely a little
It
boy.
was clear as
It was
day.
clear as
Yeah.
day. It was like he was talking to me like he was standing in front of me. That's how clear it was. And nowadays I do live EVPs, so I got my headphones on and I can hear what's going on. So last week we had a giggle of a little girl.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It wasn't the Class A, but I did hear it clear as day in my headphones. But when I listen to it on the computer, then I have to put it louder and louder and louder and still don't hear it. So
Also on the ghost box when we were there, she said in Dutch, "Waar ben je?" And if you translate it, "Where are you?" So that was really cool.
yeah,
We also got visual evidence. This is also, by the way, of children. We have a lot of connections with children. I
Yeah.
don't know
We
why,
love children.
but I brought some toys from my own kids to the investigation.
oh yeah,
And that was a kind of a keyboard, which made all the kind of animal sounds and stuff. And we laid it right in front, and a ball and a doll. We put all those three things just like in the triangle. We put them right there, put the camera on it, left it for about an hour. And well, I think we went for a break for about 50 minutes, and that was upstairs. The stuff was downstairs. We were just upstairs, and I saw, because we put up a little nerve center, I just saw the whole piano keyboard thing move completely out of that triangle. So that is, I think, for me, the best evidence we had.
Yeah, and my best evidence was the first home investigation that we did together.
Oh yeah,
And it's an EVP, and I was on the third floor, and you were on the second floor.
yeah, I was pissing it off.
Yeah, she was pissing it off. And I get the trouble of it. And I was sitting on the floor, and all of a sudden, my eyes started to hurt. And you can hear her talking like, "What's going on?" I said, "Oh, it's my eye, it's my eye." And when you hear the EVP, it's asking me, "Is it nice?"
Yeah,
So I got the pain and asking
spirit.
the
Yeah.
spirit, like, "Is it nice that he's hurting my eye?" So that is a real cool one. And we had actually two. The other one was also, you had the goosebumps from that one, but I don't know, I can't remember what it was saying.
oh me neither.
But that was a really good one though.
That was
It was a
also
real good
very,
one.
very, very nice.
Well, we
I
do have
it
a
on my
lot
phone.
of Class A EVP, so yeah, it's hard to pick.
So I know the Netherlands probably has a lot of history, especially
Oh, not
Uh-oh.
again.
it, it was invaded uh, by the Nazis in World War II. You think that has a lot to do with some of the hauntings there, just the history of the way it is and everything?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it
yeah.
has. Yeah, I think it has everything to do with it.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's a lot of history here, especially in the Second World War.
A lot of bunkers.
A lot of bunkers still.
I think on every corner of every street, in every home from that day, somebody died. So that is like everywhere here. So you don't have to go far to get in touch with the paranormal here. You can find it everywhere.
We went to a lot of bunkers. One, I don't know why, but we keep going back to that place.
I want to go there too.
Yeah, we haven't brought Priscilla with us yet, but one day we brought somebody with us that was actually German.
Bad
And
move.
yeah, and we went to the place just, and I know this sounds horrible, but just to see what kind of reaction we would get out of it, because I noticed that if you bring just us, then it's fine, it's very mellow, and they react and they respond in a very positive way.
Yeah.
This time we brought a German person with us, and it all changed. It just flipped upside down. They were pissed off, and they even got him so bad that he fainted because they just drawn everything out of him. So that's something that is, I know this is going to sound horrible, but on one hand, very fascinating to see how it changes when you take one little person with you that is of that era, of that age, that pissed everybody off, and just us to see what difference it makes. That is very interesting for me, to to see. I did get him back on his feet. Don't get me wrong, and I did protect him. So he didn't get any attachment with his home
We
or.
left him there underneath the ground.
That I did do, but
That's why you bring me next time because I'm Jewish, so that will be fun too. So stay close as a Jewish person going in there, you know.
yeah, but that is, yeah, I know it sounds horrible, but I do like to see those changes just to see how things react. I know it sounds horrible, but I am kind of
Especially when they fell down.
I'm sorry. It's
Yeah,
I
but,
don't know.
and-
I find it really interesting to see what happens when you bring another energy into the field.
Yeah, but what you were telling now is also what happened on the cemetery here because that's a Jewish cemetery
Yeah.
here. And when I started talking about that, me coming from a Jewish line, I don't know what happened. Something happened. I was talking about that I was a bad Jew. I don't do the whole Jewish thing. I eat pig and I eat things that I shouldn't. I have tattoos, so I'm a bad Jew. But I said something, and all of a sudden, oh, I got cold. I got really, really cold. And I said, oh my God, it's so cold. He said, yeah, you're talking bad about a Jewish thing, so take it back. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole energy changed
Yeah.
at that moment.
But never take a German with me to the bunker, eh?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was. You know, when you're going into a lot of these locations, especially ones that you have never been to before, um, how can you stress on how important it is to do your research on the location, not only just the history of the place, but also trying to figure out what some of the claims are, um, and also try to, based off of what other teams have said or what might be on the internet, how dangerous a place might be, like how good a condition the building is in, um, aside from mold, asbestos, any broken down floors or
I
something
think it's
might
very
protect people.
important.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important to see what other groups are saying, or urban explorers in this case, because we have a lot of them around here. But they always know how good the condition of the building is. And most of the times when they say it's not, you cannot walk there on floor because the floor is broken, or the building is about to collapse, most of the times they are right and you should not go there. On the other hand, I do want to see for myself before before I expect something else. I always go blank.
But
I
also
do
it's in the back
read,
in your
yeah,
head.
it's in the back of my head what they said, but I do want to go and see for myself because there's a lot of people who's like, it's my building and I don't want anybody else there, so I'll tell them that the building is about to collapse.
But you can also make a plan. If somebody says, okay, it's demonic, then you know, okay, you have to go in there with a different mind state.
Yeah.
You have to bring other stuff with you to protect yourself. So that's why it's important to hear and see what other teams say.
Yeah.
But don't believe everything they say because I do believe that a spirit reacts to every person in a different way. So it can be very chatty with Shane, but it can be quiet with me. We have seen that already on investigation that it will not we will not talk to Shane, but it will talk to one of the girls. Or but yeah, it's important to make a plan. Okay, what are you going to do? Where are you going to start? Who's going to do what? What are the claims? How's the surrounding? Because it's not only the building, but what if there's a train nearby? You need to know for the sounds and
Contamination.
yeah.
Well, we had one claim once here in the Netherlands that was a favorite spot for a certain ghost hunt group. And they say a lot of things about the place. And I was like, all right, I'm going to check out the history first because, as I said before, I'm a history nut. So I like to know what the story is about the place. And as we were walking around there during the day, we found a couple of citizens there. they were actually really open to talk about their experiences. So I think talking to locals is very good as well, just to see if they have experiences there.
Yeah, but like if you know it's haunted by kids, you can bring toys with you and
Yeah.
just to make a plan.
Exactly.
So during a, let's say, a residential investigation, and you're interviewing the person, do you think the person's psyche has a lot to do with whether you're going to go in and investigate for them? And if you do you also will that determine whether you present evidence to them or not on how well they might be able to handle it?
Ooh.
Yeah, most definitely, because I think I'm more of a psychological person as
Hmm.
well. Before we even do a home investigation, we first ask a couple of questions before we even go there. And if I find out or see or sense or hear by the way they answer that they are very negative or see everything in a very dark light, then yeah, you actually already know that there's just a very negative entity that's going to keep on coming back because the person doesn't change. So I do believe that the psyche of a person is definitely attracting certain entities.
Yeah, but it's not always an entity.
No, sometimes it's
It's
just a
yeah,
bad lighting,
Yeah.
you
well,
know, or
not
the
only
electrics.
that, not only that, but I also believe that if you are in a negative state of mind for a very long period of time, it eventually manifests.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
as soon as it manifests, it will get bigger and bigger because it will feed off everything else, and it will get bigger and bigger, and it's just gonna haunt you.
Yeah, and sometimes, and he asked about if you bring back the evidence, you know, if you do,
Yeah.
is it okay to, like the one we did the first time together? That was a bad
Oh
energy.
yeah.
And sometimes it's better to uh, keep some evidence to yourself, you know. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's better to not let them hear because it gets them more scared or more open to the negative. So it's better like,
Yeah. Let's keep that out.
let's keep that one to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's of course after cleansing because we will always cleanse
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Oh,
building
that's
before.
also a thing. If we
Yeah,
do a home investigation, I always do a cleansing afterwards, just to make sure that their mindset will change and it will not come back in. I also leave prayers for them, leave certain stuff behind for them, so that they have a keepsake or something to hold on to tell themselves, all right, it's good, it's gone. I have to focus on something else.
Okay, I'd like to ask you about daytime investigations. Now, I know 99.9% of the time, all of our investigations are after dark, you know,
Yep.
9, 10 p.m. And sometimes that, that is can be potentially dangerous because you don't know what you're really walking into if it's a brand new place and if you hadn't really been able to do much research on the location. So, I do know that there are some number of teams that do daytime investigations. What are your thoughts on that, especially from a safety standpoint?
well, it is safer to do that during the day because you can see everything around you. So you won't trip and safety first, what you said already. On the other hand, we like to do it at night, and just because of the energies that are sleeping, so to call it, when the later it's becoming. So the streets will be more quiet. You will have only one shadow and one shadow only, and that's from your camera, and that's the camera point of view. Because of no exterior light sources, unless you have big lanterns standing in front of your house, then you have a big problem. But other than that, it's completely dark. Energies will lay down and it will be calmer during the nights. So we have done a couple of daytime investigations, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that great of a success because of the contamination from the outside.
There's a lot of contamination because it's extremely busy on the streets
Yeah,
or in the forest when it's good weather. Everybody goes outside. So during the day, it's really hard to do an investigation here. Even on the graveyards, you can hear a
yeah.
lot of contamination, which is just really bad, actually.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have one investigation that we want to do. We have to do that first in daylight because we don't know the exact
Exterior.
now where it is. You know the bunker on the ground
Oh yeah.
that I sent
Yeah.
to you. But you have to go through wood to a piece of wood first, and we have to figure out the way. So first we go in daylight, and then maybe later on we go at night. But we have to find the way
But
first.
that's also safety first.
Yeah,
Just
because
first have to see where you need to go.
yeah, and the rumor has it that it's very haunted, and that the thing in there isn't that nice. So maybe first go in daylight, so that if you have to run out, you know the way.
You know the way.
Okay. Have any one of you guys ever been touched, poked? Have you had? Have you felt Okay. So that's another thing that we wanted to ask you guys about. So obviously you have had that happen to you. Um, what do you do after that when that does happen, especially if you've been scratched or even attacked? Because sometimes those rarities do happen that somebody can get smacked or even punched,
Yeah.
thrown to the ground. So and um, it's always going to be a little bit different when it comes to seasoned investigators or brand new investigators.
Sure.
Um, so from those two perspectives, how would you guys handle a situation like that?
Well, in my case, I was doing it myself because I was walking on a piece of land, and it was supposedly from Germans back then, back in the days.
See, Germans again.
And I was actually teasing them like, "I'm a Jew, come get me," something like that. I was
Young
teasing,
and stupid.
Oh.
right, Scott? I got hit in the face, and I had a cheek this big,
You
and it was
deserve it.
completely red. So it was my own fault. What I did afterwards was actually apologizing, like I shouldn't have done that, and it's your ground, it's for you to have and for you to keep. But on the other hand, the war's over and you're free to go. So I handled it pretty good afterwards, but at that moment, yeah, I deserved it. I was being an asshole, so yeah, I deserved it big time.
Young and stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been attacked, but I have been touched multiple times at my home when I was in bed. So that's not the best place to get touched. But it felt good. You know, the energy was good. First, I felt like someone was stroking my hair, and then I felt like a kiss on my forehead. Yeah, like that. Yeah, good. And then I was laying on
Real
my
quick, I gotta tell you guys, this guy loves my hair.
it's,
Can you blame him?
it's
Can you blame
because he doesn't have hair himself.
him? Aw.
Aww.
No, but I was laying on my right side. So first I got the stroke, then I got the kiss, and then all of a sudden it was like someone was sitting in front of me. So my whole bed did that. It that freaked me out. So I was like, nope, not doing this. Go away. It's my bedroom. Out. And that's when it stopped. But I have been on my shoulder, on my face, on my hair. It happens like now at least once a month in my home. So yeah, it's normal. I don't know better.
And for me, the worst thing were the scratches. I've been as well just touched, or children most of the time hold my hand when I walk through a building. So I know that they're kids, but the scratches are the worst, I think. I was walking around my old house and I had a scratch from the bottom of my skull all the way to my back. It was just three streaks just going like all the way over my back. Those was burning as all hell, and it was really painful. And it didn't go away for about an hour.
At least.
And eventually, I really had to sit down and be like, okay, this is not for me. I don't know what's going on, but something is attacking me. And I really had to, center myself and get it out because it was really physically attacking me. Yeah, that was not very nice. No.
Yeah.
I'm happy I haven't been attacked yet. Yet.
Not like that.
Plus, after an investigation, we always tell them to stay where they are
Yeah.
because they're not allowed to join us
Yeah.
home or follow us home. Most of the times, well, every time until now, it worked.
Yeah, in the very beginning when we first started, we did have a couple of members with us that were stumbling and really not listening, paying attention to what we said. So a couple of times I did have stuff in my house, as I said before, the scratches all the way from the bottom of my skull all the way to my lower back. Those are things that the other members just took with them. And because I am the one that's protecting them, they always attack me. So I really had to center myself and say, okay, get the hell out of my house because this is my house. You're supposed to be in the place where you came from. So go back there.
And that's why I have these
Yeah.
special rocks above my doors
Yeah.
to keep the negative out. You know, if I come back from an investigation, everything that's negative can come into my house. The good ones can, but the negative.
That's also a thing with newbies. Because they see everything on television and it looks really cool
And easy.
and very easy to do, they'll be like, oh, let's do that.
Yeah.
But there is so much more behind it. You really have to be mentally stable. You really have to know for sure who you are inside and stay strong to yourself because entities can affect you in every single way possible. So you really have to stay grounded and you really have to stay true to yourself. So it's not that easy as it looks. And in the beginning, you will fall, you will stumble, you will be young and stupid, but
It worked.
you'll learn.
Yeah, but that's something people, you know, when you talk to people now, like, okay, I'm a paranormal investigation. Okay, is that like a Zach Bagans on that?
Yeah.
No.
Something like that, but not completely. It's a little bit different because there's a lot more going on than you see on the television. And yeah, they should show that more, you know, let people see that it's not just the fun part and, oh, look, it's going off. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff you have to do before you even go in. And yeah, they're not showing that, and that is a shame.
Yeah.
And that's a very valid point. So I know each team has somebody that does something special, what they're really good at. Like Jeremy here, he's a good tech guy. He's doing an EVP session. It just comes naturally to him. What do you, each one of you, bring? I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think your special skill is?
I'll start.
Okay, you start.
I'm really good at sensing things, seeing things, and making sure I keep everybody protected. I'm actually really good at catching shadows, light sources, so I'm really good with camera as well. And I hear very, very good, so every single sigh or hello or whatever cough, I can pretty much hear it.
Yeah. I'm well, I wouldn't say specialist, but yeah, I will say specialist. I'm a spirit box specialist. So when we record things with a spirit box, I can most of the times hear what they're saying, even though I didn't hear it at the moment.
I'm so terrible at Ghostbox. I don't understand.
I'm the only one in the group that can understand what they're saying. Well, EVPs, I've been very good with those.
Me too. I find a lot of EVP.
Yeah,
I can find them all.
She is a specialist in EVP.
Yeah.
I swear to God, when she was doing our first home investigation, she immediately started reviewing them at home and then send it through WeTransfer. And I was like, there's a whole list of EVPs coming through. I was like, what the hell? What the hell is this? My own computer's full of EVPs now. So she's a real tech in EVP.
And finding EVPs. And yeah, I think I'm really good at sensing where to be. I don't know why, but I just know, okay, we have to go left and we have to stand there and it's there. And I don't know, I just feel it in my bones. All right, no, back, front, left, right. Yeah, I don't know. And EVPs, yeah. And the rest I suck.
Not for long, okay.
No, but Ghostbox is like,
Yeah, I don't know what
what? And you're like, I'm like, no, he's not.
I'm like, what? What did I say?
Sometimes I can't even hear myself. So, and I've got a legitimate excuse. I'm very hard of hearing. I'm the deaf guy on the team, but yet sometimes
What? Sure, man. That's what I bring.
I'm not going to do that. So, what kind of goals do you guys have moving forward as a team and individually as well? What what is your end game?
Well, most of the things we really want to do is teach other people how to be a good investigator without making stupid mistakes. Well, you can always make stupid mistakes because I did myself. You always have to make mistakes to get to become better. But as in stupid mistakes, as is alcohol, use of alcohol, breaking stuff, that kind of things to get into a building. So we try to teach them that it's not okay to do those things. We try to teach them how to use the equipment because some of the teams are still using it wrong, and I want to say something, and then I'm like, no, I don't like you. Never mind, because they don't like me either. So it's not because I don't like people, because I love people, but
I think
they most of the times don't like me. I don't know why, but
I think also uh, what we're really trying to achieve with the Ravens Paranormal is that if you do have an experience, you're not crazy, you're not weird, you're not having a psychotic episode or something. So to break those barriers in the Netherlands that everybody that has an experience has psychotic, weird stuff. So we're really trying to break that and maybe also going into bigger buildings, as I said before, like castles and stuff like that. There's so much that you can find there, and there's so much that really wants to be found and tell their stories. But yeah, at the moment we can't get in. So I think it's to teach one. Second is to break those barriers within the Netherlands that when you have an episode or when you have an experience that you're just depressive or that you're crazy or really trying to break those barriers.
Yeah.
Okay, then you guys teach. Then my goal is to catch a shadow person.
yeah, my personal goal is to get to America and
personal
join,
goal,
and
America.
join a couple of teams in America to investigate together with. And
Yeah, that would be cool as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just to investigate like almost every day.
see a lot of people, good people I know from Facebook in this case, in person, and then go do an investigation with it.
We should drop the kids somewhere. I don't know. Just let someone take care of them. We will see who. I don't care. And then just go. The three of us go to America.
I've got a plan. We're gonna give the kids to your husband.
Oh
We're
yeah.
gonna go away.
Yeah. My husband is a believer, but when something happens, he's like, nah, it's just a coincidence. Nah, someone else did it. I'm like, did you see that? Nah, it's your glasses. It's like, nah, it's the battery. I'm like, you're right. He does believe, but everything happens to me and not to him. And when it happens with him, he's like, nah, coincidence.
Yeah.
So he can take care of the kids. Then we go to America.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Oh God, he's watching this.
Okay, so that brings a good question. For some of us, we have that one or two places we really want to go to investigate. But like me, I want to go to Waverly Hills and Suicide Forest in Japan. So, what is your ultimate place you guys would love to investigate?
Well, one of them is indeed Waverly Hills. So that's one of them. The other one I really, really, really want to go is Penner's Penitentiary.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Because a lot of crazy shit happens there.
Well, for me, it's actually the suicide forest in Japan as well. Because first and foremost, I have I don't know what it is, a spiritual connection to Japan. I don't know why, but it draws me in very, very badly. So yeah, that is one on the top list for me. Yeah.
Ooh, so many choices.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, the catacombs are France as well.
I take all of yours.
Yeah.
And also Alcatraz, I would like to go someday, but without all the stupid tourists. They can stay out. And who?
There are so many good
And I
places
also
to
want to,
investigate.
yeah, but
So many good places.
I also want to visit the haunted museum of St. Bacon's. I don't know why. I just
yeah.
have to see it. You know,
Like, yeah.
just want to see it. I don't know why, but
See to believe. I
see to
think.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, you pretty much gave my answer because that's where I want to go all over Europe. I want to go everywhere.
Yeah.
Catacombs of Paris. I want to go to several different castles out there. Windsor Castle, especially.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I want
the
to go to the
castle
dungeons
in
there.
Czechia with the Bones
Check.
Castle.
Checkpoint.
That one.
Yeah, Black Castle.
Dude, I would love to go to Normandy.
Well,
Oh yeah,
if you
Yeah.
come to the Netherlands, we will show you.
yeah.
Second World War, Normandy. Yeah.
Oh, there's so
So,
many.
Yeah.
if we were to come over to the Netherlands, where would you take us to go do an investigation?
Ooh,
Oh,
also,
yeah.
so many
I
places.
think it's gonna be IJmuiden, the bunkers of IJmuiden.
Yeah.
They're close to the sea, and that's actually where we had the most experiences right now. Oh, especially with the German dude.
And my house. I will take you to my house.
So that means you're going to cook for us too, right? Then.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, no problem. I'm a very good cook.
Name it, we can cook it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. For breakfast, I like biscuits and gravy.
Ooh.
I'll try to make them.
I'll let him do
Learn.
that.
I'll learn.
Yeah, actually, that is a goal of mine. Sometime, eventually, to make it over to Europe and just go all over the place. Not just Europe, but also Asia. Suicide Forest there in Japan is another place that I want to go to as well. But one place that I really want to hit before any other place is not exactly a haunted location, but it's just very mysterious, and I want to go to Stonehenge.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is my all-time bucket list location as far as Europe goes is Stonehenge. It's just the mystique of that place.
Yeah, there is something going on there that is so powerful that, well, as I said before, I'm a witch, so for me, it just like the suicide forest in Japan, it has so much energy and so much weird things happening there. It just draws you in.
Yeah.
It just absolutely draws you in. It's the same as the caves in Ireland where the goddess Morrigan is supposed to reside. Those kind of places. Oh man, I would love to go there.
So I'm curious as to what kind of folklore you guys have that you want to go after. Is there certain folklores or urban legends you guys try to go out and investigate, to check out?
Well, we live in a very small village at the moment, which is near Amsterdam. It's called Edam, and it does have one folklore about a mermaid. And of course, we investigated it and we walked all around the village and we tried to find it.
Yeah.
And we did find references in certain houses that has just a banner with the written text of the folklore, all in Old English,
Old Dutch.
yeah, Old Dutch
Dutch.
written in there. So that is absolutely gorgeous to find.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of places that have the folklore, and we definitely go after it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one other place. It's called Solsegat, which is a very weird name, I know. But there was supposed to be a church there with monks, and when the sun goes down, the monks would rise up from the ground and walk around with the candles and the
Singing.
lanterns, singing their songs. It was absolutely gorgeous to go there. We did have a lot of EMF spikes going
Yeah.
off.
We had a growl.
Yeah, so that
Well,
was
the
absolutely
folklore
amazing to go.
the folklore supposedly is like the monks were getting greedy, greedy, and started doing business with the devil, and that's why the church is now gone. It sank into a hole in the floor, in the ground, and at night they come back up and start singing and humming, and but we did have a very very distinctive growl,
And we did hear the humming.
and we heard the humming, and so it was kind of, yeah, we had a lot of evidence over there.
Yeah.
And then
So
afterwards we
do
started
chase the folklore.
getting shot at, so that's why we left, because it was hunting season, which we didn't know.
Yeah, and I live also in a very small place. It's called Uitgeest. Yeah. And how do you call the space in front of my house? Like the
The
square.
playground.
Yeah,
It's a playground.
yeah. And now it's a playground, but it wasn't always. And there's this very old
It was-
building on the.
Golf, toch?
Yeah, and
Gallows.
Yeah.
there were gallows, and they say that they used to hang and burn witches there. And
Nice place for me.
yeah, it's a really good place. In front of my house. Again, my house. Why? But also the old building used to be a jail. So they said people have died there of starvation. But if I look up on the internet, there's nothing to find.
No,
Yeah.
of course not. They're not gonna tell you that.
But
that-
they
They
should.
never tell you
They
that.
should, because then I wouldn't have bought a house. No.
That's in the archives.
No, there's nothing to tell you
No, nothing. No, there's really nothing to find about the witches, the gallows, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing there. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay, another thing I want to ask you guys about, aside from the folklore that's over there, what do you guys ever encounter elementals doing on any of your cases? Like if you go, I don't know, out in the woods somewhere, do you guys ever encounter not really ghost apparitions, but
Yeah, more the.
leprechaun? Not leprechaun.
Did you just say leprechaun? Are you kidding me?
Leprechauns, okay.
Does it look like I'm from Ireland? Give me my lucky charms.
So,
Now you did it, Scott. Now you did it.
I knew that was coming, man.
yep. So in any on a serious note, as if we could ever be serious. So in any stories from the elementals spectrum of the paranormal, like over there, because I know there's a lot of stories of fairies and
Dragons.
Dragons, yes.
I'm a very, very, very big fan of dragons. So.
No leprechaun, though.
He's more of a dwarf though than a leprechaun.
I'm gonna get him a pot of gold. I'll tell you that.
That's right, because I'm going traveling. I'm going to go see them.
Right there with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great if we come out to Europe. We would love to hang out with you guys.
We would love to hang out with you guys too. Yeah. Definitely.
Also, just to discuss things and how you guys see things. Just what are your most pronounced experiences?
Say that again.
What are your pronounced experiences?
My experiences, I don't think I've ever been touched or anything like that. But I've gotten weird EVPs that I can't explain. In a sense, I close myself off more than most people because I really like the science behind everything. I really do.
Yeah.
But there are those moments when something happens, like
You just can't explain.
a couple of weeks ago, we were up at Crown Point, and me, Jeremy, and our buddy Tim were up on the third floor in the juvenile area, and we had a flashlight. And we're kind of standing around this table, and we're just asking these questions. but we're getting ready to finish up. All of a sudden, I kind of seen this shadow just shoot around this table. And me being me, I'm looking at Jeremy and Tim, and I'm like, did you guys just move? And they're like, no, we didn't move. So in my mind, I'm trying to think, and maybe I bumped the table and I moved the flashlight. So for me, I'm kind of like a debunker. I try to
Yeah.
debunk it rather than go, oh yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
debunking is actually one of the major priorities for this team because we don't want to go somewhere and say, yeah, this place is haunted. We want to go somewhere and say this place is not haunted. Here's what's really happening.
Yeah, exactly.
One, one, I'll bring up no, I'll bring up three experiences that I've had.
Maybe forward? Okay.
Um, I'll bring up three experiences that I had just this year. Um, Two of them were first time evers for me. The first one was again at the Crown Point Jail, the one where John Dillinger escaped from. Is I was sitting on the second floor. I was by myself. I was the only one on this floor, and we were doing an audio session, an audio time block where everybody stays quiet. And where I was at, there was absolutely no way anybody could be able to get to me without me seeing them. And I actually felt like somebody gave me a hard poke in the back.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right.
that's the first time I had ever been touched. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it wasn't exactly creepy, but it was a little unsettling.
yeah.
Um, but the story goes that in that particular room is where more people get experiences than any other place in that building, at least as I understand.
Right. Yep.
Um, and then another time, a few weeks later at Waverly Hills, we go to Waverly quite often, and I was on the third floor in the far corner away from where command center would normally be at, and I actually saw something try to manifest itself in front of me for like a
Wow.
second. Yeah, it was just an amazing thing. You could see the human form. It was like 5 feet in front of me,
That's
and it
really
was like trying to gather up enough energy for it to show itself to me, and then it just lost its energy and it just kind of faded out.
that's
Um,
amazing.
That is really amazing.
then last one was what was it 2 weeks ago we were at Randolph?
Yes.
So it was me, Scott, and our buddy Tim. We were up in the attic, and it was something very similar to his experience with the flashlight. We were all sitting in a circle. It was me, Scott, his son, Tim, and Crystal. We were all sitting in a circle, and Scott had his audio recorder. He sat it on a table, and of course, the audio recorders, they always have that red light.
Yeah.
Well, Tim said that he saw that the red light moved. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, Scott had just set it down on the table and it moved. And then a couple of minutes later, I actually saw the light black out, like something had walked right in front of it,
Wow.
and nobody had moved.
wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of hard to explain something like that when
Yeah.
there's nobody else around, and you know that nobody is playing a joke on us.
We were sitting
No,
there
exactly.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
We're
no way
also
that somebody
seeing
would have
that.
been able to get up, run across it, and then somehow run around so we wouldn't be able to see it and sit back down in the seat.
That would be very hard to do.
It happened that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
did
we're also a team that debunks a lot of stuff because although we do sense a lot, I do want validation for what I'm feeling or hearing. If I don't have that validation, I'll most of the time doubt myself. But it's about that capturing that essence that you felt or heard or
Yeah.
saw. That is something that is really powerful to me. Yeah, we had that last weekend on the Great House. EMS meeting. I was live on Facebook also when we were there, and the EMS meeting was going off. But
Yeah, it was like static on the same level. So he said, no, it's not you. You're too far away. I was like, no, I'm not quite sure. So I took one step back and it died down. So we knew it was me.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to, okay, what if we step back? What happens? Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, you're still the cause of what's going on.
It's always the same ones.
You should get punched again.
So that's my question. Yeah, I've been investigating for a while. When I first started, I was always about trying to get that evidence for other people. Now that I'm older and been in it for a while, I'm all about the personal experiences. How, are you guys that way? Are you guys more about the evidence for a client or somebody, or more about the personal experience?
When it's specifically for a client, I'm doing it for both because I want my personal experiences, of course, but I do want the evidence for the client so they know they're not crazy and they know that there's something up and that they're not.
Or that there's nothing there.
No, or that there's nothing there because if you have no evidence for the client, they're like, I am getting crazy. I should get some help or something because some of them
Or you
are
should
crazy negative.
or you
about
should
that.
check your lighting.
Or check your lighting because your lighting's wrong or something like that. So I always try to get the evidence for the client, but I always try to get my personal experience as well.
Yeah.
With you, but
For me, it's the same, I think, because as I said, I do sense, feel, and hear a lot of things, but I do like to get the validation, the validation for what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing. And for the client, I sometimes do wish that there is sometimes a bit more evidence so that they know they're not crazy. We do debunk a lot of stuff, like if there is a lighting issue, or if there's a squeaky floorboard, or the pipes are rattling. We do trying to give them peace of mind with just stuff around the house. So
yeah,
it's debunking for them to make sure, okay, if my door squeaks, you just have to oil it a bit, something like that. Just small things, because when something happens, they most of the time blow it out of proportions. Well, it's actually something real small. But if you do have experiences in the house when everything else is debunked and you have it on the camera or the EP or spirit box, that's absolutely amazing for as well as yourself and the client.
yeah.
Yeah.
In my house, it's just for me so that I can show my husband that I'm not nuts, that it really is happening. But yeah, like you said, it's both. It's for clients or and yourself, because of course we all want to see the shadow person or the moving stuff,
Full
or
body operation.
yeah, you name it, we
Or-
want it.
Or the fairies in Ireland.
Yeah.
The leprechauns also, no problem.
Hey, all right, so one question.
Yeah.
If a new team was to come up and ask you about the paranormal and what they should do, what advice would you give them to start out with?
Um. Well, follow us for a couple of months, or at least maybe a year, and then see if you can learn things you didn't know already.
Go to professionals or people that have done this longer than you have.
Yeah.
Don't go in there without knowing anything about the paranormal, because that's just dangerous. So if you really want to do paranormal investigations, please find a person that you know that has more experience than you, and ask if you can come along with them for just at least a couple of times before you actually do it yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I asked you guys,
Yeah.
can I join at least once? I want to know
Yeah.
how it goes. I want to know, what happens on an investigation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's easy to go by yourself. You can buy stuff on the internet, and it's no problem. You can look it up on Google, and they tell you what you need or how you can build it or whatever. But yeah, you need someone
Teach you.
Yeah, to teach you, but also to protect you. What if something happens and you're standing there all by yourself?
Yeah.
What there's nothing you can do. So yeah, don't go by yourself. Seek professionals.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a real pleasure having you guys on here with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
thanks for having us.
yeah, we'll definitely have to keep in touch because I enjoy talking to you guys for sure.
No, we'd
Yeah,
love
we like
to.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll have to do another future broadcast, podcast with you. I was going to say broadcast.
Podcast.
Hey, maybe we can do a segment on leprechauns with them. You guys see me on?
I want to see that one. I want to
He
see
dances
that.
like a leprechaun. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you guys so much for being on here with us. It has been an absolute pleasure. Um, don't close out your screen. Scott and I are gonna do our final thoughts for the episode. Then we'll come back to you after we end the broadcast. All right. So once again, the Ravens Paranormal out of the Netherlands. Again, thank you so much for being on here with
Yes,
us.
thank
It's
you.
been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure is ours.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah, that was an awesome interview.
dude, I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that for our first podcast, we were able to do a team out of the United States
Yes.
and get a different perspective on how they go about their investigations.
And the fact that for this first show here that we are talking about the potential dangers of new investigators going on into locations, they brought up so many wonderful points. Number one, make sure you check out the location that you're going to be investigating, especially in the daylight before it gets dark, so that you can be able to see if there's any holes in the floor or maybe nails sticking out of the wall, something like that. Also, one thing that needs to be brought up, for any team really, but especially for new ones, is always make sure that you have some sort of a first aid kit in case something does happen.
I got a butt pack that has first aid kit. No? Okay. Take a kayaking. But that is a valid point, to always make sure there's first aid and, just always being prepared. Like you said, walking around, no matter where you are, and just checking out for the dangers. And that's what I loved about them. They do that and, research your history. Make sure you know the history behind the place, because to me that's what's important. Because if you just walk in blindly,
Yes, and it also helps to talk to other teams that have been to these locations, so that you can be able to get the stories from them of what they've actually experienced or what they might be able to tell you that the locations themselves, if you're doing your research, that may not come up in your research, that other teams can personally tell you, watch out for this, watch out for that.
and I really like Ravens Paranormal. And if you guys want to check them out or follow them, we're going to put their Facebook page up on our site. And go out and give them a like, man, and just check them out because they really are great people. I so enjoyed talking to them.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. So, meanwhile, on that note, we're going to go ahead and sign off of here. For those of you who have been watching us and commenting, thank you guys so very much for checking in. And we will see you guys on Friday, October the 2nd, when we interview Mr. Robert Murphy from the Elite Paranormal Society.
It's going to be a great time, guys. Have a good evening.